Hi, I'm author Tom Avitabile. Recently, I appeared on Streetwise with highly decorated retired NYPD detective Lou Tolano to discuss the setting of my new thriller, Ask Not, and some of the still nagging questions surrounding the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963.
Let me ask you this. What is your theory?
I have my favorite theory. There was a Russian count. He was a double agent during the war. Both the German High Command and the Allies loved him, and they kind of figured he was a double agent, but they figured they were getting more than they were losing.
Correct.
And they kept him around because he was a bon vivant.
Oh.
He was the kind of guy everybody loved. Well, after the war, he went with the winners, which was the OSS, which was the forerunner of the CIA. And he came to New York, and he was part of the A-list Society of New York. And he was at everybody's party because he was a Russian count and he had nobility and he was, a great guy. And he met a woman. He fell in love with her. Fell in love. This is my favorite theory.
Right.
And she lived on the real long end of Long Island, all the way out by Montauk.
Yeah.
And he fell in love with her. And this was his girl. He was going to marry her. And he'd take the train all the way out. And he'd stand in her front yard, and she wouldn't have anything to do with him. She wouldn't give him the time of day.
Whoa.
And he persisted. He kept going, and finally, he was out there. And well, the lady had a little girl, and the little girl always played in the front yard. So, waiting for the mother to acknowledge him, he started talking to the little girl, playing with her dollies, having tea with her. And the mother saw this and said, all right, he's not that bad. So she allowed him into their little spirit. She never consented to a relationship, but she allowed him because the little girl called him Uncle Georgie.
Yeah. A good man figure for her daughter, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, well, so what happened was Uncle Georgie protected this little girl, took care of her, Well, the woman was Black Jack Bouvier's wife.
Oh.
Was Jacqueline Kennedy's mother, and Uncle Georgie
God, don't end.
was Jacqueline Kennedy's Uncle Georgie. Uncle Georgie, being a Russian, was in charge of Russian immigrants entering Dallas because he had been positioned by the CIA as an oil company man, a prospector. He was in Dallas, and his job for the CIA was all these guys coming out of Russia, making sure they weren't KGB. Well, a family came out of Russia, a man with a young girl, and a baby and his wife, and he got them a place to live at Ruth Payne's boarding house, and he made sure that the gentleman had a place to work. He got him a job at the Texas School Book Depository.
Right.
His name was Lee Harvey Oswald. The guy who got Lee Harvey Oswald the job at the Texas School Book Depository was Jackie's Uncle Georgie. Just let that sink in for a second. These are all the theories.
Yes.
The theories are that when Marilyn Monroe sang, "Happy birthday, Mr. President,"
that's when they said we got to get
that Uncle Georgie and Aristotle Onassis, who loved Jackie, how do we know that? He married her. That they said, enough's enough.
Correct.
And that Uncle Georgie used the CIA connections, got Oswald into the Texas School Book Depository, set him up as a patsy while, this is part of that theory, while Aristotle Onassis brought 3 hitmen in from the Corsican mob on a boat to Mexico City. David Ferry flies them into Dallas, and they execute a triangle field of fire in Delhi Plaza.
If true, what would Jack Ruby's role be in?
Silencing the patsy who was supposed to be killed by Tippit, but wasn't.
Good. Keep him quiet. Like allegedly, look at this, running out of time.
In Ask Not, Hank Larson has to confront these issues surrounding the Kennedy assassination as he is on the trail of his brother's killer. While doing so, he and the woman who volunteers to help him unwittingly become the target of the powerful men who want to keep the true story of JFK's murder a secret.